Let's give it up for Mary Maloney!
All right, well, pro tip number 1, be careful what you tell Gene Frederick drinking wine. There you go. My big takeaway. You know, I am so blessed and honored to be here. When Brent called me and asked me if I would be willing to share, it was truly an honor. And so Gene, Brent, James, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share with all of you today. They've asked us to share not only about agent attraction, but also about production. We're hearing a lot about the shift in the market, the changing market. And so they've asked us to share not only about how we've been building our organizations, but also how we've been building our teams and leading production. And so in the short 20 minutes that I have with you today, I'd like to share a little bit about my story, maybe not that far back in my story, a little bit about my organization's journey, as well as 3 tactics that you can take back to your team and your business in order to drive listings in today's market. Sound good? All right. So you might recognize these guys that I have the honor and privilege to work with. And so my story, I was a solo agent for a brief moment at RE/MAX after leaving the military and then corporate America. And the local developer reached out to me and said, we really like what you're doing. We're thinking about opening an independent brokerage. Would you be willing to lead that brokerage for us? And so for 3 years, I operated Santa Leo Hills Realty for HomeFed Corporation. We were a subsidiary owned by Leucadia National out of New York. And in 2008, I acquired that company. Great time to acquire a real estate company. And so for 10 years, I operated Hometown Realty because we got into a trademark dispute over the name. And so I operated Hometown Realty for 10 years as an independent brokerage back before being an indie was cool. And then 5 years ago, moved that brokerage to EXP with Dan Beer and Kyle Whistle. And so this photo is really significant for me because this was the day that we announced that Dan Beer, Kyle Whistle, and Mary Maloney were moving $500 million in production to EXP. Woo! Yeah! Yeah! And we put on a dinner that night, and Curtis Johnson flew out. I don't know, were you flying then? You probably drove. Drove to San Diego, and it was the first time I met Curtis. And Curtis has become such an incredible mentor to me because, honestly, I didn't come to EXP for revenue share. In 2018, there were roughly 8,000 agents at EXP. Our stock was not traded on the NASDAQ at the time. And I came to get rid of liability, bureaucracy, and the time suck of being a broker. Anybody with me? Yes. And this night was really significant because we put about $2 billion in production in the room to announce to our friends and peers and people that we respected that we were choosing to make this move to EXP. Kyle was also an independent broker, and Dan was the #1 KW team in all of Southern California. And I love this photo because, honestly, we didn't know what we didn't know. And we jumped right in. We started doing lunch and learns. Revenue share was not a big thing for me at the time. And it just didn't feel right for us. And so we abandoned the lunch and learns, and they work for some people. And that's what I love so much about this, is you can find what works for you and just do more of that. And so for us, we realized very quickly that production was the attraction. And so we went full force into training and leading with production first. And we continue to be unapologetic about leading with production in our organization. Thank you. About a year in, revenue share became something that I could no longer ignore. And revenue share is truly life-changing. So a little bit about my story. My personal organization is now over 2,000 people. Yes, thank you. Yes, woo! And the Fast Forward movement is currently roughly about the size that the company was when we started. Roughly about 8,000 people in our organization. And my personal organization, I truly can't take that all the credit for. It is the amazing people that have been attracted to our tribe. And I'm proud to say that I currently have 2 alpha influencers, 5 beta influencers, 51 leaders, and 57 builders in my personal organization. And the key that I've found is because when they decided to make the move, I took that very personally. I took it personally that they were choosing to follow us. They were choosing to join our tribe. And just like when agents join our team, I felt a personal responsibility to create an environment in which they could be successful. But we cannot make people successful. Can I get an amen on a weekday for that one? So a little bit about my story and how revenue share has changed our lives. After Arkansas, I went into the military that senior year. And this is my husband and I. This is 1991 in Desert Storm, somewhere in the Persian Gulf. And this was my 3rd tour on the USS Cape Cod, which is a destroyer tender. And thank you. Thank you. It was an honor and a privilege to serve my country. And do I have any other Navy in the house? Go Navy, beat Army. Yes. Woo, yeah. Army, yes. Any other active duty, veteran, military family in the house? Yes. Please give these people a round of applause. They are great Americans. Yes. Yes. Stand up. Yes. Let's give these people a round of applause. Yes. USA, USA, USA. I love it. We love God, country, and EXP. That's right. So after 3 tours on the Cape Cod, I went to Top Gun, and my husband went to explosive ordnance disposal. After Top Gun, I was at that critical 8-year mark. If anyone in the military knows, that's the time where you either have to commit to 20 or get the hell out. Because if you do one more tour, you're stupid to get out. So we decided that I would get out and he would stay in. And so from there, I entered corporate America and then, as you know, entered real estate. My husband went on to do 20 years as a Navy hard hat diver. He was SEAL Team Class 123 back in the day. And after 20 years as a Navy diver, he went on to work for space warfare and did 22 years in their underwater surveillance code. So you all have slept very well knowing my husband was on the job. Yes. His last hurrah was being the logistics officer for the Navy's new Sea Hunter project, which is the Navy's first autonomous ship. There's no people on it. It carries weapon fuel and computers. So after he turned that over to the Navy, I had gone down the path because as an independent broker owner, you think that there's going to be a big payout at the end and you're going to sell your company one day. And so being the fastest growing boutique brokerage in San Diego, I got approached. I won't say what company, but their color's blue. And they flew me to New York, and we went down the path of an EBITDA study. We walked through the contract of the handoff, and I figured out that it wasn't going to be a big payout. And so my husband and I had a conversation, and we decided that I was going to continue on the brokerage, and if I could put the right people in place, that continuing that passive income would be the path to our retirement. We also decided that my husband would likely have to work until he was 67 or maybe even 70 in order for us to reach our retirement goals with military retirement. EXP revenue share can be life-changing. I'm proud to say that EXP revenue share has allowed me to retire my husband, after 42 years of service to the United States Navy and the American people. I was able to retire him 18 months ago at the age of 62, and I bought him this Sprinter van. EXP is the greatest thing that ever happened to my husband. So all of this would not be possible without the amazing people that are in my organization. Again, these are my 2 alpha influencers and my 5 beta influencers. These people, just like our real estate production business, it is about the people. Revenue share is about the people, and revenue share also cannot be a 100% profit business. You must invest in your revenue share business. Brent, Gove, and Jean Frederick and James are a shining example of how to invest into your organization. Investing in events, investing in masterminds. We have a saying in our organization, lean in and pour in. And that's how we tend to run our organization. Leaning into your upline, leaning into corporate. Sean Murphy, Amy Weaver, Chuck Fazio, Curtis Johnson, all of these people have helped us to build our organization. Even Dave Kennord, we've had to call on sometimes, especially when you have a queen like Becky Garcia that's looking at EXP. So leaning in and pouring in is really how we have been able to achieve what we've been able to achieve. And I'm here to tell you today that EXP revenue share can truly be life-changing. Now, we're hearing a lot about the shifting market. And as I said, production is the attraction. And we're continuing to pour into our groups. Kevin and Fred, great presentation. I took tons of notes, went back, was texting Dan and Kyle. Here are some holes I see in our organization. Here are some things that we could be doing better. But that cadence of pouring into our groups. Economists say that right now, we will likely sell 4.5 million homes in this country this year, down from 6 million. Can anyone tell me the last time that we sold 4.5 million homes in the United States? 2012. Thank you, Jean. 2012. Now, what is the difference between 2012 and today? In 2012, we had just under 1 million realtors. And NAR says that today we have roughly 1.6 million realtors. So less transactions, more agents trying to go after those transactions. Jimmy Mackin, many of you know Jimmy Mackin from Curator. This is a slide from his presentation last week. Yes, I was at the same conference that Fred and Kevin were at. This is a slide from his slide deck last week, and Jimmy has dubbed this the Real Estate Hunger Games. Anyone want to volunteer for tribute? Right? So the more transactions that those that consider this a career, not a hobby, the more transactions that we could take means that likely one more realtor gets out of the business that jumped in to make some quick money. Wouldn't it be great if you could choose that realtor? I took a listing. Bob, you're out. Right? That would be fabulous. So, less transactions, more realtors. I think all the top producers in this room would agree that listings are the way to doing more business. Can I get some yeses on that? Listings breed more business. They breed more sellers. They breed more buyers. So I want to share with you 3 tactics to get more listings in the short time that I have left. And being a recovering corporate marketer, I had the privilege to work with Kellogg's, Nickelodeon, Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield, after leaving the Navy. And the biggest mistake I see realtors making is we do a lot of push marketing, but we don't do a lot of pull marketing. We do a lot of branding and think that that should drive business, but we don't have calls to action. Right now, creating funnels is going to be the key to future business. We have to think about what is the advertising medium that we're going to use? What is the initial advertising? Is that social media? Is that Facebook? Is that direct mail? Is that YouTube? What are we doing in the initial advertising? Where do you want to take them? What action do you want the consumer to take? You have to tell the consumer what to do. They are seeing millions of messages. On social, do you want them to follow for more, save for later, send to a friend? In your direct mail, do you want them to call you, text you, visit your website? What do you want them to do? But the goal is to get these people into our ecosystem, because nothing we say in our advertising is going to make someone sell their home. A life event has to occur in order for them to need to sell their home. And moving forward into a period of hunkering down, because the great reshuffling of our country is over. COVID, there was this great reshuffling that happened, and now that's over, and people are hunkering down that have 2 and 3% interest rates. So they're no longer moving for desire. What are they moving for? They're moving for death, debt, divorce, deployment, diapers, diamonds. I needed a D for relocation, so we're calling it delocation. That's how marketing works. That's how the military works. We like acronyms. We like things that all start with the same letter. Right? So that's why they're going to move. They're not going to move because they want a pool or an ocean view, or they want to live closer to the school. They're going to move because they have a need. And all of this marketing that we're doing is so that we are the brand recall when they have a need. So start thinking in terms of funnels. I would challenge you and your teams to doing a CMA challenge. Our team is currently sending out 20 personal CMAs a day so that we can cover our entire farm community within the next 6 months. Consumers need things personalized. They need to know what's in it for them. So making it personal is going to be critical. If you can't and you have too big of a farm to personalize with your own handwriting, use things like Yellow Letters Complete, Audience.co, or if you have a lot of check equity, Celebrity Agent is a great choice. But make it personal for the consumer, because they need to know what's in it for them. And lastly, I will share with you to start thinking about demographical marketing instead of geographical marketing. Are you focused on last-time home sellers, first-time home buyers? This is a campaign that we're currently running for non-owner occupieds. 20% of our market are mom and pop investors. Their property management company hasn't kept up with the rent velocity in our area, and do they need to consider diversification in their portfolio? Maybe a 1031 exchange. This is a nice plastic card. The gift card looks like it pops off, but they have to call and have a consultation, and then we electronically send them the gift card. That's push-pull marketing, folks. This is what we have to be doing. Think about your customer acquisition cost. A lot of people talk about ROI. ROI is great, but what's your cost to acquire a consumer? What's your cost to close that consumer? So a $10 gift card to have a consultation with a non-owner occupied, I'm happy to pay that customer acquisition cost when our average commission is $15,000. So think about funnels, think about making it personal, think about the reasons that people would be moving in your market, think about the life events that are happening, and change your marketing to have a compelling message in the market. My name is Mary Maloney. My time is up. Thank you so much.
All right. Mary Maloney, everybody. Woo! You're awesome.